Hey guys, what's going on? It's Rekt Capital and welcome back to this YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining me in today's video where we're going to be talking about this 29 to 50 support level if this breaks down as a result of a bearish divergence. Weekly bearish divergence forming here on Bitcoin, and is that something to worry about? We'll be also talking about the bearish divergence on volume. Lots of interesting things to be spoken about in today's videos, so let's dive right into it. Subscribe to the channel for more videos like this in the future, and let's go ahead. This is the 29,250 level, and if we think about this monthly close right over here, marginally below this 29,250 level. Right over here, we can see that this was a multi-month resistance, and this could have been a picture-perfect retest after this breakout beyond 29,250. But it looks like this marginally a monthly close below this key level, and is price holding here as a support? Is this level actually figuring as a resistance? It's really touch and go, very difficult to say, because if it's going to hold as a support, then we can really position ourselves for at least this level right over here. So if we just zoom out, that's going to be around 31, 30k, something like that. Holding here, that positions us for a move to the mid 30s over the midterm, but figuring as a resistance here, and then we could drop into the lower 28s, which is the next immediate support, or into the 27k region, roughly speaking, those being the major support regions. But let's talk about the weekly time frame, because the weekly time frame is holding here as a support. It is holding, and juxtaposing that with this resistance here, so we're definitely finding some price stability. But the problem is there a bearish weekly divergence forming here? And a bearish weekly divergence is essentially higher highs in the price action and lower highs in the RSI. And that just showcases to us that Bitcoin's price action is being pressed to a higher price point, but just on mounting weakness under the hood of the price action. So the RSI resembles the under the hood price action, or at least the under the hood metrics that just give us some hidden weakness in the bulls trying to press price up to higher levels. So essentially, price is weakening even though it's going up, but there is a mounting weakness to this price moving upwards. So there is a losing of steam in pressing price to those higher levels. And the bearish divergence on volume as well is quite an interesting situation, because if we look at this first high in Bitcoin's price action, we see that the corresponding volume bar to this high right over here, where we first made the new yearly highs, you can see that this volume bar is quite tapered, not too substantial. If we compare to this move, for instance, this was a massive move right over here, enabling a tremendous breakout. Whereas if we just compare this high here and this volume bar, very small volume bar, so the bulls didn't need much strength to muster price to new highs. But if we just look at, for instance, this bar right over here and the candle, we're seeing that bulls needed a bit more strength, a bit more volume to move price to those higher highs. Of course, this bar right over here is much larger than the bar right over here, so that's really something to take into account. But the main thing is that we've reached into the same region on inclining volume, and technically stronger volume wasn't able to propel price beyond this resistance area. And right over here, this volume bar was able to press price higher for the first time on lower volume, and not much higher on larger volume, even though that this larger candle was on higher volume. So generally speaking, bulls need to put in a bit more strength to make new highs. That's the main takeaway here. And still, even though the volume is increasing, price isn't really increasing as a result. So bulls may be running out of steam here, and the RSI is a testament to that. And not only this mounting weakness in the RSI and the fact that bulls need more strength to move price less to the upside, we're also seeing a very difficult monthly candle, because this could have been picture perfect with a monthly close above the 29,250 level. This would have been essentially a breakout, pullback, retest, and then set up for trend continuation. With this difficult candle just monthly closing below the 29,250 level or just on it, it's very difficult to come up with a bias, because it's not clear if 29,250 is acting as a resistance or a support. Very recently, we had a move towards the upside and to the downside, downside wicking, upside wicking. This actually resembles a spinning top candle right over here. So this is typical candlestick 101, candlestick analysis 101, where we're seeing a candlestick that is resembling a spinning top. So a spinning top is showing us uncertainty in the market. And with that monthly close, I'm not surprised that we're seeing a lot of uncertainty in the market, because price isn't really decisive on whether it's supposed to confirm a trend towards the upside or downside, but the candle body itself is holding this black level, this 29,250 level. So for the time being, price is at that support, but the moment it flips into a resistance, that's when things are going to get a little bit more complicated, because price is going to have to search for lower levels. And those lower levels are, for instance, here. We can see that this being a support for the reaccumulation range and this being a resistance before we saw those new lows. So that's something to bear in mind as well. If we just go back to this inverse head and shoulders that really kickstarted all of this price action, then this neckline of the head and shoulders, that was never really revisited, although we did get extremely close to it. We saw a downside wick into this support, but never actually picture perfect retesting this level. So could we have a actual retest of this level in the future? Does that retest actually need to happen for a confirmed breakout from this inverse head and shoulders? That's also a question worth posing. But one has to argue, or at least consider, if this 29,250 level doesn't hold, then maybe we're going to be looking at a long drawn out retrace inside this sort of downtrending channel. So it could be still a few weeks, especially if we were to just see this as a symmetrical structure. Could it be a few weeks where we see downtrending into a channel? Because of course it would be nice to see price just reject from here and then dump all in one day, and the retrace is over and we can get on with our lives and enjoy the next uptrend. But the volume profile itself, if we just focus, for instance, on this volume profile to represent this downtrending channel, then we're not really seeing high volume. We're seeing a lot of sell side candles here. The bullish reversal candles are on declining volume, so they are approximately, if we compare the volume bars, this candle here is quite similar to this candlestick, but the volume is very different. It's smaller, probably by half, declining volume generally speaking, within a sea of just sell side volume that isn't really declining until it has that final sell side exhaustion candle, which is quite interesting because it's the same sell side exhaustion level of this right over here. So both of these seller candles preceded some sort of U-shaped reversal, but it was ultimately this one that was the seller exhaustion candle at a really pivotal support that we almost got into. That liquidity was never really grabbed. This was just a downside wick close to that support, which was essentially front run. But should we worry about this weekly divergence, this weekly bearish divergence on also diverging volume? This level here, if that flips into a resistance 29,250, then there is reason to be concerned, because we could see another retrace in the coming weeks. as part of this downside. Notice how right over here, price just broke down from 29,250, rejected from this level as a resistance, and then the retrace continued. Here we're just dissipating for many weeks at a time, just slowly dissipating, and we haven't really lost that level as a support. But if we do, then I'd be watching out for something like this, for price to deviate below, then reclaim or at least fail to reclaim this level and reject from there before we see further downside. And if the RSI can't break beyond this trend line right over here, especially if it can't break beyond this trend line, then we're going to be seeing this divergence continue to play out, because breaking beyond here would invalidate this mountain weakness. And if we break beyond here, then that's essentially the end of the weakness, and we're going to be seeing strength emerge in the RSI, and price could actually make a higher low relative to these lows here from around mid-June to challenge for this higher high in price action, and that would probably breach this higher high in price action, especially if we see the RSI break this lower high. So at the moment, we are seeing a weekly bearish divergence, and if we flip 29,250 into a new resistance, then we'll have to expect lower prices and a bit more downside. In any case, that's about it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel for more videos like this in the future, and of course leave a like if you enjoyed this one. It would really help me out a lot, the YouTube algorithm and such. Thank you so much for joining me in today's video. I'm Rekt Capital, and I'll speak to you in the next one. Speak to you soon.